Welcome in to the first live hockey talk show. This is kind of crazy that we are here already. We will go with the open phone lines at 631-438-1768. That's 631-438-1768. We've been doing a bunch of pre-recorded shows just to kind of get our bearings and make sure the equipment's working and the lighting is good and all that jazz. And now it's kind of cool to be here doing the live thing for a couple of reasons. One, you get to use the phone number and call into the show. Anything you want to talk about today, by the way, we can vastly go off topic. Excuse me. See, I'm giving the radio station phone number, the radio station that I work for. I'm sure there'll be a lot of that tonight. 631-438-1768 if you want to call in. That's 631-438-1768. So that's exciting that we can get that going. And the other thing is I don't have to edit this, which I'm really, really excited about, because editing these videos, which there weren't a ton of edits, but, Final Cut Pro and all that other garbage, it was a real pain in the old keister there. So I promise you that'll be the last time we actually say keister on this show tonight. So that'll be exciting. Plenty to talk about on the program. We really got to get into the Matt Duchene thing. If you're just joining us or you're new to the show or anything like that and you missed yesterday's show, we'll link it. You can find it on Facebook, YouTube, or the podcast, which is on Stitcher, iTunes, TuneIn, and Podbean. We really delved into this deal and really took a hardcore look at it. And it was really fun to kind of get in there and break it all down and analyze it. Today, we're really going to be focusing on, now that we had a day to digest this deal, what does it look like? How is it really going to impact both Nashville and Ottawa? That's really something to consider. Yesterday, our focus was, what Joe Sakic did, did he get what he wanted, so on and so forth. But today, I want to look at what this does to Ottawa, Nashville, and also what this does to all the other teams that weren't involved in this deal. I guess the big question of the day is, is the rest of the league and their trade market, have they just been, thrown out of whack? What does this do for the potential trades that are now available and on the table? Because there's plenty of other players that can be moved. So we'll get into that, of course. I want to talk about the resurgence of the New York area. We're coming to you live from Long Island. For those of you who don't know, former employee of the New York Islanders, and I'm a radio show host now. So we got a little background in the game and all that. And there's been a resurgence in New York hockey. The Islanders are playing well. The New York Rangers are playing extremely well. And if you've been following the Hockey Talk Show since we started just a few weeks back, you'll know that we spent a really good amount of time dumping on the Rangers, not just because I worked for the Islanders, but because, they were off to a bad start. And another aspect of this that really wasn't their fault, they were picked by a lot of teams to be a playoff contender or a playoff lock, if you will, and I just never saw it. I just never thought that their roster was good enough. So we'll get into that. And Seattle could be getting an NHL team. I know the rumors have been out there a lot, something that, TSN and Sportsnet and ESPN sort of talk about a lot in the off council meeting. And it came up and he sort of blurted out when the team wanted to be there, installed by the National Hockey League. So we have to get into that as well. Starting off with the deal between Colorado, Nashville, and the Ottawa Senators. I did notice a couple of interesting things. And again, we're going to get into reaction and we're going to get into what some of the other teams were saying and thinking. A couple things right off the top that I don't know if we really hammered home yesterday. Matt Duchene sells tickets. The guy is an exciting player. I said this yesterday. He's more exciting than Kyle Turris is. Kyle Turris is a good, solid player. Matt Duchene is a great player who sells merch. Kyle Turris is, I don't want to say blue collar, but he's not all that thrilling and exciting. Not that every hockey player has to be, but he's kind of a more quiet, low-key type of a player. And I think Matt Duchene certainly enhances the Ottawa Senators. And I think the fact that he can sell tickets is super important because I don't know if you guys have been seeing this, but they cannot sell tickets in Ottawa. They are having trouble. And that is hard to explain in a country that is so filled with rabid hockey fans. How you can't move some seats is beyond me. They're having trouble not only selling seats on a Tuesday night for a regular season game, but how about, for a playoff game? I mean, they couldn't move some seats for a playoff game in Canada. You could talk to me about all the reasons why. The location, the this, the that. I'm sorry, but Winnipeg jams them in all the time. And they're a smaller market than Ottawa. You got to be, filling those seats in. And Ottawa's just not doing it. So I think the Duchene move is good in that aspect too. Sell some tickets. Sell some more jerseys. Everybody talks about Ottawa being a budget team, which I want to get into that too. I don't see how I get how they're a budget team, but they're up against the cap right now, according to capfriendly.com. We'll dive into it. But I like that Matt Duchene will sell some tickets for this franchise. They've had a problem in that area. And making this move is good because Duchene's going to come in. He's going to move some seats. He's going to move some jerseys. He's going to move some swag that Kyle Turris isn't. Kyle Turris, by the way, didn't want to come here. Didn't want to stay with the Ottawa Senators, I should say. I alluded to that yesterday. And the more and more I see reaction on Twitter, the more and more I even just sit down and think about it. The fact that Pierre Dorion talked about a 7 and 8 year deal with them and Pierre didn't want to go there and that nobody was able to bridge that gap and say, well, we'll do 6 years, just flat out means that Kyle Turris didn't want to sign there for 6 years. And that was it. Why that is, I don't know. That'll be for Kyle Turris to let us know one day. But I do know that he didn't want to stay. He didn't really demand a trade, but, you're not going to re-sign that player. You got to move him. So I think Pierre Dorion made the most out of the situation with Kyle Turris and not being able to get him under contract. It was super awkward the way they went about it. And again, I encourage you to check out yesterday's show. We played clips of Pierre Dorion on Hockey Central and him just kind of saying, well, yeah, we never had that 6-year conversation. And just this awkwardness of, hey, just say, you know what? We couldn't come to an agreement with Kyle. It was a year thing. And just say, I don't know if he wanted to stay, but we were in a position and we had to make a move. I think Pierre Dorion was trying to shield and protect Kyle Turris by not letting such a thing like that out. But I don't know if you really need to protect him all that much. But I guess he felt the need to own up to it. The other thing that I found pretty interesting when I really sat down and analyzed the trade, Ottawa didn't give up any of their prospects. They have a bunch of prize prospects, and they didn't give up any of them in the deal. Sure, they gave up a first and a third. Were they the first and the third, or were they the first and the second? And the third came from Nashville. It doesn't really matter. But, they gave up, obviously, some picks. They gave up a player that they couldn't re-sign, and once you get into that territory with a player where you can't re-sign him, who cares? You get as much as you can get, back for him. And they were able to protect most of their prospects. That's a good day. Now, they have a player under contract for the next 2 seasons. You can consider this pretty much still a full season. And that's the other thing I realized this morning, now being a day away from this trade being official. And the same goes for the Nashville Predators, and I think I can understand it from their aspect, but this is a win now move for these teams. This was 2 teams dealing with another team that's not ready to win now, and they were in win now mode, all the way in win now mode. Can they win? I don't know. Certainly, you can have your say. 631-438-1768. That's 631-438-1768. Does Matt Duchene put the Ottawa Senators over the top? What do you think? 631-438-1768. Does Kyle Turris do that for the Nashville Predators? Now, we got a lot of Preds fans following the Hockey Talk show early on. I shouldn't say a lot. We're very early on in this process. We're just building this audience. But I was exchanging some Facebook messages with some Preds fans the other day who were so gracious. Does this put you guys over the top? Do you feel good about this? Like I said yesterday, I think it's a good move for Nashville. They get a good quality player in Kyle Turris. I don't know about 6 years. I would have preferred shorter. But again, if that's what the guy wants, that's what the guy wants. You're kind of handcuffed as far as something like that goes. If you're the Preds, you know, you're kind of at the will of the player in those particular instances. But they had to replace James Neal and they have to replace Mike Fisher. And you know, you're certainly not doing that in one foul swoop with Kyle Turris. But you know what? You're closer to where you were when you had both those guys on your roster with Kyle Turris there. And you didn't really give up all that much. The draft pick, Gerard, obviously, he's going to be a big deal. Or I should say, he is touted and the highest prospect in this whole mix. He's had some NHL games under his belt this year. Again, in a situation where just like Kyle Turris wasn't going to stay with Ottawa, I think Nashville knew, well, this guy's not going to catch on here this year. We're probably 2-3 years away from him. Let's trade him now for an asset now. The Preds are in a win now scenario. We know that. Pekka Rinne is getting up there in age. Certainly still really good. You know, they made the move and brought in 76. That's a good move for them. You know, they made the move and brought in 92. You know, so they are, you know, they went to the finals last year, obviously. They're in win now mode and they saw a deficiency in their roster and they're thinking, well, let's cut this off at the pass and let's bring in somebody that we know will help us win this year. So gave away a little bit of the future. Only really one big prospect in Gerard. And they're in win now mode. So we'll see how this pans out for the Nashville Predators. For the Ottawa Senators, you know, the other interesting aspect of it is Pierre Dorion is in love with Matt Duchene. And I understand why, because he sells jerseys. You know, I mean, that's the problem with Pierre Dorion. He's got to win and he's got to put behinds in the seats. I didn't say keister. Kept my promise. Only said it just now to mention that I didn't say it. So no wonder you'd be in love with a Matt Duchene because he's going to sell seats. He's going to sell jerseys. Now, Ottawa's in an interesting bubble where, you know, they got Clark MacArthur, who's on long-term injured reserve. They've got Bobby Ryan under contract till 2021-22, the 2021-22 season. Let me bring up our pals over here at Cap Friendly so you can get a look at this. CapFriendly.com has all this info. I love that site. But you take a look here, you know, Bobby Ryan is signed at $7.2 million. Matt Duchene comes in with a $6 million this year and next. Mike Hoffman at a pretty affordable 5.1. Mike Hoffman's a 30-goal scorer for the Ottawa Senators. Mark Stone, they're going to have to figure out at the end of this season. He's an RFA. He was making 3.5 last year. Zach Smith and so on and so forth. They're down to the $3, $2, and $1 million players. Taking a look here. Here's the guy who kills the Ottawa Senators, Dion Phaneuf. Now, I love Dion Phaneuf. I think he's a great player, but he's a guy who's going to be haunted by this contract forever. I don't know how the Ottawa Senators can live with Dion Phaneuf on their roster till 2021. I don't foresee it happening. He's just not worth $7 million. You can get a defenseman in there, maybe not as good, but not as bad. Pay him $3 million, $4 million, and you got an extra $3 million to run around and do some things with. And by the way, when I say do some things, I'm talking about signing Erik Karlsson, which they're going to have to do, and that is going to be a big deal because he's an unrestricted free agent in 2019-2020, which is also when Matt Duchene is a restricted free agent. So as you can see here from this little window, as Pierre Dorion is sitting in his general manager chair, he's saying to himself, what the hell do I do? Oh, wait a second. I've got Erik Karlsson for this season and next. I've got, some defensemen in the fold for this season. Most of my forwards are in the fold for this season and next, except for Mark Stone. Now's the time. If you're wondering where the Ottawa Senators window is, Ottawa Senators fans, That's where it is. Window closes 2019, 2020. Because you got to sign Carlson and you got to sign Matt Duchene. And you better believe that Matt Duchene, especially if he comes off of 2 super good seasons with Ottawa, is going to be wanting a whole hell of a lot more than $6 million. You got Mike Hoffman on the horizon the next season. You know, he's up for a raise, at least up to $7 million with the numbers he's putting up. Derek Brassard, I don't think it's worth $5 million, but he'll just certainly sign for something kind of close. By the way, the Mika Zibanejad Derek Brassard trade, can we talk about that for a quick second? Did the Rangers win that one, or did the Rangers win that one? Mika Zibanejad is such a better player than Derek Brassard. Jeff Gordon over at the New York Rangers, I mean, he pulled off a heist on that deal. Zibanejad was definitely the way to go. That was a great move on the part of the New York Rangers, who have a lot more work to do in their own right. But I digress. We take a look back at the Ottawa Senators here. And as you can see, here's the thing that, I heard, a lot in the press today. Everybody's talking about, the Senators are a budget team. The Senators are a budget team. I don't know, man. I look at them and I see $678,000 in cap space. That doesn't look like a budget team to me. They're spent right up to the cap. Now you got the Clark MacArthur long-term IR situation. Although, is he even on long-term IR? I think he's on regular IR. But I don't think he has a return date because he's dealing with a concussion. I have to get clarification on that. And you got Bobby Ryan, who's been underachieving for quite some time. So the Bobby Ryan contract and the Dion Phaneuf contract, $14 million tied up in those 2 players alone, who you can definitely get not as good of players to come in, but kind of good players. When you look at their value, exponentially better players. Because I can get somebody to come in and score 15, 20 goals like Bobby Ryan does and not pay him $7.2 million. So Ottawa definitely has some tweaking to do. They'll be in outstanding shape if they could walk away from those contracts. I don't think they can. I think it would be great if Bobby Ryan comes back. Now you're looking at a little bit of a different forward lineup there with Bobby Ryan, Matt Duchene, Mike Hoffman, Zach Smith, Mark Stone. I like JG Pajou. Alexander Burrows. Now they got Nate Thompson is as solid as a 3rd, 4th line center as it gets. Great penalty killer. Now you got a dynamic forward core right there. Now you got something to work with if you're the Ottawa Senators. So they're not perfect, but they're pretty damn close. Sans those 2 deals. And that's the thing, like, who the hell can you get to take that Dion Phaneuf deal? I know everybody's looking at Vegas. Vegas, can you bail me out? Can you get me out of this trouble? It's one of the few times in life you ever go look to Vegas to get you out of trouble. Usually Vegas is where you go to get in trouble, for Christ's sake. Some nice words coming in here. Thanks for joining us. This is the first live show for the Hockey Talk Show. Number is open at 631-438-1768. That's 631-438-1768. I see we got a couple of eyes on the show here on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks, guys, for joining in the program. Feel free to comment. Feel free to, drop some Twitter love at Hockey Talk Show. That's at Hockey Talk Show. Or, of course, you can reach us on the number, 631-438-1768. Here's another interesting wrinkle. Now I get reports that Joe Sakic is looking to flip Andrew Hammond right away. And this is super confirmed by the fact that they're not even taking Hammond. I mean, what about this for a bizarre thing? Hammond, who was in the AHL playing for the Belleville Senators, the Ottawa's farm team, they're leaving him there because he's going to look to move him right away. This, according to James Gordon of The Athletic. Hammond will remain with the AHL's Belleville Senators on loan from the Avalanche, while general manager Joe Sakic looks to trade away the newly acquired netminder. We know that the Avalanche received Hammond $1.35 million. He currently counts $325,000 against the cap of the Colorado Avalanche right now, which is no problems. He appeared in just 6 games with the Senators last season, recorded an 0-2 record with a 4.08 goals against average and an .837 save percentage. Abysmal numbers, considering that the Hamburglar, for a little while, kept Ottawa in the race. That was the year before last, though. Avalanche have Semyon Varlamov and Jonathan Bernier. It looks like they're going to stick with them on their NHL roster. And down to the minors, Spencer Martin, Ville Husso, and Joe Canada with the San Antonio Rampage. So no real moves, or I guess maybe no real space to bring in, Andrew Hammond over there to the San Antonio Rampage when you got 3 goaltenders already in the mix.
Hello.
Hey, you're on the Hockey Talk Show. Who am I talking to?
This is John.
John, where are you calling from, man?
New Jersey.
What do you want to talk about, Mo?
I was wondering what porn you watch.
What porn I watch?
Yeah.
As with everything else on this show, hockey porn is what I watch. Yeah, everything is themed, so it's a strict hockey porn sort of a thing.
All right, you the man. Go Devils. Rangers suck.
All right, brother. I've been doing radio for 10 years, kids. I know how to handle prank phone calls. Don't you worry about nothing. What is it about Devils fans and Islander fans that we immediately feel the need, after we proclaim our allegiance, to then, say the Rangers suck? Is it a complex? Is it because we know the Rangers get more attention than both the Islanders and the Devils? What is it? Is it little brother complex? We got to shit on the Rangers every chance we get. Go Devils and go Islanders is immediately followed by Rangers sucks in, I would say, 99% of the cases where an Islander or a Devils fan is talking. You know what I'm saying? It's just inevitable. We have to just let the world know the Rangers suck. It just upsets us that they even exist in the world. So there's no room for Andrew Hammond in the minor league system for the Colorado Avalanche, which is kind of interesting to me on how he even got involved in the deal. He looks like a throwaway, but where do you send Andrew Hammond? I don't know. Before this all happened, I figured, Vegas would have been the easy spot. And then I thought, they're sticking with what they have there. They're not going to make any moves. They're going to wait for Fleury to get back, and Dansk and, Malcolm Subban, they seem to be really super high on. And how could you not be? He played hella good for them while he was up there. But I was, just taking a quick scan. Arizona, I think, would be a place to go for them. Hammond, it's not like Hammond's going to save the world, but, the fact that he had a good start in the AHL this season, 9.25 save percentage, 2.61 goals against average, 2-2-1 record. It's a decent start. He's played good, stopgap kind of a guy, third goaltender in the organization. Maybe he plays a bunch. Maybe he gets hot again like he did for the Senators. I can see that being appealing to Arizona. I also thought Winnipeg might be an option for them too, because Winnipeg has sorely been looking for goaltending. Winnipeg could use some help in that aspect of things. Although, after a rocky start, that team has settled down. They're 6-1-3 in their last 10 games. They're sitting second in the Western Division. So I can't see them doing anything immediately. Although I would say maybe down the line, Hellebuyck and, who's the other guy that came from Philly over there? If they can't fall, if they falter or whatever, there's an option there. I'm reaching here with Winnipeg because, I don't know if there's anybody who really, really needs that goaltending help. For Winnipeg, Steve Mason. Steve Mason hasn't really worked out. 4.84 goals against. It has been Connor Hellebuck. I'm going to just go with Hellebuck. 8 wins, 0 losses, 2.12 goals against average. That would explain why they are 6-1-3 right now in their last 10 games. So Winnipeg's on fire. They're making it happen. And I will tell you my last team who I think should go, as we'll grab another phone call here. 201 area code. You're on the Hockey Talk Show. Who am I talking to?
Hello.
Yeah.
My name is Cody.
What's up, Cody?
I just wanted to know, do you like black people?
I like black people. Yeah. All right, so you guys are learning a lot about me, the type of porn I like, and my feelings toward black people. I like black people. Black people are just fine to me. Here's the team where I really think that could use an Andrew Hammond, the Edmonton Oilers. I think you make a move if you're the Edmonton Oilers for Andrew Hammond. They're sitting with Cam Talbot right now, a 3.17 goals against average. Laurent Brossoit, who I've never heard of before, has played in 3 games so far this season, a 3.65 goals against average. I'm not saying that Andrew Hammond is the savior of the Edmonton Oilers, but if you're Peter Chiarelli and you're looking at your abysmal Edmonton Oiler record right now at 4-8-1, they're 3-6-1 in their last 10 games. You know you have to do something. I don't know exactly if all the trade chips out there are going to help you. We'll look at those in a second. You got to do something. You've got to make a move. I think Cam Talbot's your goalie, but as far as can I make a trade? Can I bring somebody in? Can I spark these guys? Can I get them to get something going on? And with 2 minutes before 7 o'clock here on the East Coast, they're going to take on the Islanders at the Barclays Center and see what they can do there. But the Islanders, like I said, have been red hot lately. So have the New York Rangers. We want to talk about that in a second as well. But if you're Edmonton, I like the move for Andrew Hammond because you can probably get him for super cheap. You can probably get him for 5th round pick, 6th round pick, maybe. Maybe you got to go 4th because Joe Sakic's crazy and he wants the world. So I think you go there. I think if you're the Colorado Avalanche and you're Joe Sakic right now, you call up Peter Chiarelli, you say, give me a 5th, give me a 4th. You can have Andrew Hammond and see what he can do. I mean, hell, you can't do any worse than what you're doing right now with Cam Talbot. The Edmonton Oilers suck. And you have one of the great players on your team. You know, I mean, goaltending is the problem here. I listen to all the big analysts, and they're all saying this and that, and who do you get to play with Connor McDavid, and do you move up Draisaitl? You shouldn't have Draisaitl and David together. This, that. Here's Ryan Nugent-Hopkins going to be traded, blah, 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 blah. Guys, Connor McDavid has 16 points in 13 games. What the hell do you want from him? He has 16 points in 13 games. Patrick Maroon has 10 points in 13. 9 points for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. 9 for Draisaitl in only 9 games. Milan Lucic has got 6 points in 13 games. That's a point every other game. What the hell do you want from these guys? I think you can get more. I think you need more out of them. Ryan Strome has been enigmatic, and he's gonna. I don't think Ryan Strome's got it. I think that Garth Snow and the Islanders definitely won that trade. But I think you need the help in your goaltending. I think you need the goaltending help. It's the easiest little fix. Like, let's give it a shot. You're going to roll the dice on something, move a 5th round pick, try Andrew Hammond. You never know. He could wind up doing something for you. You never know. I would definitely make that move. I would definitely make that move really quick. Trade bait. Let's see who else is available in the league right now. This is according to TSN. This is who they're saying is around. Evander Kane now moving to the top of the list now that Matt Duchene is gone. And I got to be honest with you, and I've said this before, and I maintain this position. He's having a career year, Evander Kane. He's doing really well, but I'm not buying it, man. I'm not buying Evander Kane. I just think he disappears a lot. He disappeared in Winnipeg. He moves over to Buffalo. He's disappeared there. Sure, he's having a good year. 7 goals, 13 points in 14 games, but he's playing with Jack Eichel. And he's playing in a contract year. Just like Josh Bailey with the New York Islanders right now. Just like everybody that's ever played for the New York Rangers. You got to be careful of these guys in their career years. Because you can wind up overpaying a hell of a lot and not getting much in return. And that's how I see Evander Kane. I see him locking up a 5-year deal and just completely robbing a team of money. Now, you want to scoop him up and, take advantage of him this year and use him on the way to Stanley Cup Finals. Great. I think that would be the move. I wouldn't give up too much for Evander Kane, but if you know he's going to be a rental, give up what you can for him. But I just think he's dangerous. I don't want to go near him. Here's what pisses me off about the mainstream media, specifically TSN and Sportsnet and all these guys up there in Canada. They still have James Neal number 2 on this list. Why on earth would the Vegas Golden Knights trade James Neal? I don't think it's going to happen. Now you're going to say to yourself, well, it was never the thing and Vegas can cool off and blah, blah, blah. Guys, face of the franchise right now in Vegas. You can't move James Neal. You can't move him now. You can't move him at the deadline. I don't really care what you're facing. I don't care how much you want to build towards the future. And I know George McPhee does, unless they tailspin and are just out of it completely by the time the trade deadline rolls around, which I just don't foresee. I just don't think you can make that move. I really just don't think that you can make that move if you're the Vegas Golden Knights. And you can see here, they're 6-3-1 in their last 10. They're 9-4. They've been stumbling without the goaltender situation, but they're in it. And they're going to be in it because they're off to a great start. I just don't see you moving James Neal. I'm sorry. I don't foresee that happening for Vegas. I don't think you do that to this fan base this early on in their franchise's existence. Okay, sure. Do I want to pick up prospects? Do I want to think long-term for the franchise? I do. But at the same time, you still want to sell tickets. You still want to sell number 18 jerseys. You still want to put asses in the seats. I got to keep James Neal. Same for Lucas Spiza. Same for David Perron. I would take all the Vegas Golden Knights off of this list. I just don't think you can move them. I don't foresee that happening. Mike Green, your guess is as good as mine. A goal, 12 assists in 16 games. Guy knows how to move the puck. If you need a puck-moving defenseman, i.e. Montreal, but I don't know if they make a move for him now. They're so far down on the list. That's a good one for anybody that's going to need a puck-moving defenseman. I definitely see Mike Green moving. I don't know if the Detroit Red Wings are going to be in it this season. I can see him being a deadline deal or maybe even sooner, closer to Thanksgiving if somebody gets desperate and they are short on defense. Thomas Vanek, look, Vancouver's having a better year than everybody thought they were going to have. I don't know if he's going to become available, obviously because of his contract status. That's where that becomes a possibility. But Vancouver's sitting at 7-5, 16 points in 14 games. I wouldn't count on that either. Rick Nash, 2 weeks ago, absolutely. This week, it's amazing how a week makes a difference, man. I don't know if the Rangers move Rick Nash. I don't know if that happens. Take a look at the New York Rangers record. They're 7-7 right now, but here's what I want you to look at. Look at the last 10 games. 6-2-2. They're on a 4-game winning streak right now. They just beat the Columbus Blue Jackets, and not only beat them, but beat them 5-3. Look out for the New York Rangers. They're getting hot. And that's what happens if you're the Rangers. If Zibanejad has been great, but if Zuccarello picks it up, Rick Nash picks it up, Henrik Lundqvist starts playing like the Henrik Lundqvist that we all know, you're going to be in the mix. I think it's bad for the Rangers. I think the Rangers are doing what the Jets are doing right now. They're winning when they should be losing. I just don't think you have enough of a team built there for the Rangers to really build upon. You know what I'm saying? You need more. I just think that they're incomplete, and I think that they're wishing and hoping for the last wild card spot, and they might wind up falling short. They might wind up falling short. All right, let's go back over to, I forget who this was, John or whoever it was. Go ahead, buddy. You're very persistent.
Hello, my name is Donald.
Hi.
I was just wondering if you eat ass.
All right, that one I can't play around with and have fun. The other two I could have answered and had a little fun with. That one I can't. So yeah, the Rangers, they're pretty hot right now. So 6-2-2, good for them. I don't think it's going to be great for them in the end. Like I said, very Jets-like. They're winning when they should be losing. But I think that, if they're not in it, if they're 6-8 points, out of that last wild card spot going into the deadline, I say you cut bait and get what you can back for Rick Nash. Send him on over to a team that's going to be competing. He might be able to help them, especially if he brings his numbers up a little bit. Could be good for the Rangers if he definitely brings his numbers up. They might find a home for him somewhere else. Alec Martinez from the Kings continues to be on this list. He's got 3 years left on his contract. He's got 4 points in 11 games, $4 million per. I just keep hearing his name come up to me that says he wants out of Los Angeles in some way, shape, or form, or Los Angeles wants to move him. $4 million for a top 6 defenseman it's not a lot if it's a top 4 defenseman. If he's fallen out of that with the Los Angeles Kings, which I don't know if he has, that's a bit much to be paying somebody. That's maybe why he's on his way out there. Eric Gudbranson for Vancouver, no points in 13 games at 3.5. And Alex Galchenyuk is still on this list at $4.9 million with 2 years remaining on his deal. I think you're going to see Galchenyuk moved if the Montreal Canadiens continue to struggle like they have been. I think we'll see Galchenyuk find a new home somewhere else. I think somebody will get desperate enough to pay up for him. And who knows, a change of scenery could be good for Alex Galchenyuk. Nick Kyprios on Hockey Central at noon on Sportsnet 590 and the NHL Network said something that I thought was pretty interesting today. He said the league is shocked by what Joe Sakic was able to get. 7 pieces in return, 3 picks, 4 players. He got the defenseman he wanted, the young defensive prospect. He didn't get the roster player that he was asking for most teams. Remember, he wanted draft picks, a roster player, and a defensive prospect that he can control for the next couple of years. So he didn't get the roster player that he necessarily wanted. But he got a couple of players that he's going to have in the minors, and, Andrew Hammond and first, second, and third round draft picks. And he got Girard, who's the big piece, the defensive prospect that he wanted. I was surprised to hear that the league was shocked by that. I mean, I was a little shocked, but he was holding out. Now, I don't think anybody thought that anybody would deliver, but Pierre Dorion would. Here's the thing. Sakic was able to take advantage of 2 teams that were desperate to compete this year and next. He's got 2 teams that are shooting for the Stanley Cup Finals, and he was able to capitalize and jump on that. He waited long enough. I think if he would have waited any longer, his return would have been far worse. And he pulled the trigger at the right time. I said before, he was on a seesaw. You don't want to be too much this way. You don't want to be too much that way. You got to find that right moment to pull the trigger, and this turned out to be the right moment for him. Does it change the marketplace for trades? What does this do to Evander Kane's value? I think teams will get desperate to overpay for him as the year goes on. Kyprios brought up Max Pacioretty. If Montreal is going to cut bait and start, making some changes like the Rangers should, because you got that great goaltender in there. The only difference between the Rangers and the Canadiens is Carey Price is a little bit younger, and he's signed for a bunch more years. But if you're going to start retooling, if you're the Montreal Canadiens, you know, and you're thinking about trading Max Pacioretty, which I don't think is a good move, but if you're thinking about doing it, what could you get for Max Pacioretty? Scores more goals than Matt Duchene does. A little bit easier of a player to get along with, from what I understand. Duchene can be a little bit difficult at times. That came out today. Not surprised he asked for a trade. Not that he's impossible to deal with, but I guess when it's not really going for him, he gets a little frustrated, and it's a little bit hard for the other for his teammates to play with him. Does this drastically change the marketplace? What could you get for a Max Pacioretty, who is just a coveted player? Now, Evander Kane's a different situation. He's on and off. He's hot and cold. I think this puts other teams in a situation where they're going to have to overpay just to get Evander Kane. But imagine what you have if you have a solid player like Max Pacioretty. What does that do to his value? Can you ask for 2 first-round draft picks? Can you ask for what Joe Sakic was asking for? A bunch of picks, a young prospect who's a lock, and a good, piece right now. Can you get that from Montreal Canadiens for a Pacioretty? If, Montreal fans or if Montreal experts are saying, well, we're looking at this team here and we know it's going to be a long shot for us. Let's try and retool, get some pieces and build up. Now, I do want to throw this in here, a little bit of a caution. Just because you get a whole bunch of pieces doesn't mean that, you did a good job, because it's quality over quantity. Do I think Sakic could have done better if he would have just gotten a first-round draft pick, a really good roster player, and a really good prospect? Maybe. He might have. But I think at this point, for Joe Sakic, he is just casting a wide net. He's just saying, let me get a bunch of prospects. Let me get one who's on the bubble with Nashville and Girard. And let me get 3 draft picks, and hopefully one of them hits. First, second, and the third. It's not a bad strategy to have. But what does this do for the trade market moving forward? I think it calms things down in a big way. I think it calms things down in a huge, huge way. We talked about New York hockey and the resurgence over there. The Rangers 6-2-2 in their last bunch of games. How about the New York Islanders at home at the Barclays Center? They want to move on. They want to build a new arena in Belmont. And all the complaints about the Barclays Center, well, definitely from the stands, but there's been complaints about the ice down there as well. How about this for the New York Islanders? They're 52-23-13 at the Barclays Center since they moved there in 2015-16. 52-23-13. That's a hell of a home record. For a place that's supposedly not all that comforting for players, they're 52-23-13. This season alone, they haven't lost in regulation at the Barclays Center. Doug Waite, head coach of the team, talking to Stephen Marcus of Newsday. The guys just seem comfortable. They play well here. The strange thing to me is even when we're not on our game, I can't say it's the crowd or the atmosphere or whatever it is. You just have a good chance to win. We've won more games maybe in that building that we feel like coming out of we didn't play all that great. We just find ways to win in that building right now. So I don't want to talk too much about it. We have good mojo there. Back to the phones at 631-438-1768. You're on the Hockey Talk Show. Who am I talking to? Hello. Did we lose you? All right. 5-0-1 this season at the Barclays Center. 25-5-4 against Western Conference teams. That is the best interconference home record in the NHL since the arrival at the Barclays Center, according to Elias Sports Bureau. So since they moved to the Barclays Center, they have been the best Eastern Conference team to play a Western Conference team. That's amazing. Edmonton in there tonight. Can the Oilers turn things around? Will the Islanders remain hot? That should be an incredible matchup, which, by the way, started 15 minutes ago, I think. Can we get a score check on that one? I'd love a score check. This is going to be nothing to people who are listening to the podcast or who are watching this tomorrow. 15 minutes left in the first. It's a 0-0 score over there. By the way, the show is on Stitcher, iTunes, and TuneIn Radio. You can see council member over in Seattle saying, hey, a team might be coming here by the 2020 season. They're trying to get the funds together to renovate the arena over there in Seattle. The Oakview group is behind this, same group that is behind trying to get the Islanders over there to Belmont. And this little gem came out, this courtesy of King5.com. It's one of the news channels local there in Seattle.
In this now decade-long arena discussion, you need to follow the bouncing ball and the political winds.
There's a lot of tax money going back and forth, and understanding what those are compared to other deals and what we've done historically just takes some time.
Today's Seattle Councilmember Mike O'Brien expressed his concerns over a new arena at Seattle Center in the midst of the city budget cycle.
I'm feeling very squeezed on the timeline that we're supposed to vote this out of.
O'Brien openly suggested there is
What a
only
nerd.
one
What a nerd, by the way. I'm feeling very squeezed.
Timeline.
I'm feeling very squeezed.
in the midst of the city budget
I
cycle.
want you to look at the lady. Look at this lady right here. Look at her. Look at her fidgeting with her nails. She can so care less what this idiot is saying.
Squeezed on the
Look at her
timeline,
fidget. Look.
that we're supposed to
She's just
vote
like,
this out
God,
of.
just shut up,
O'Brien
idiot.
openly
Such
suggested
an
there
idiot.
is only one reason to approve the $660 million package this year.
And I recognize that it is driven by a construction timeline designed to deliver an NHL team starting in 2020, in the fall of 2020.
What we're trying to do because of the construction schedule.
Council President Bruce Harrell didn't deny the thought, but said he is confident a deal can get done.
I don't want to rush a process, but I'm hopeful we can try to get it done this year.
The open conversation a bit of a surprise, given the nature of negotiations which have happened behind closed doors. A tentative deal is in place between the city and the Oakview Group and awaiting council approval. It likely would involve some amendments. Those could be introduced later this month at a meeting O'Brien said today he'll unfortunately miss, a sign of his vocal concern about the process.
Thank God.
The trade-off is between hockey in 2020 versus hockey in 2021 versus us doing or me at least being able to do my thorough due diligence. That's just a trade-off I'm going to have to consider.
In Seattle, Chris Dan-
Gotta do my due diligence, please. I want to do my due diligence. Nerd. Nobody likes a nerd, buddy. Here's the thing with Seattle. One city council member is not going to be able to stop this deal. Oakview Group is super powerful. They want to put an arena there. I think they're going to get the arena there. By the way, the outside looks super weird. That whole triangle hut thing's kind of bizarre. But you look at Seattle, they're a major sports city. They got the Seahawks there. The basketball team. Do they still have the Supersonics? Or they left? They're trying to get them back as part of this. You got the Seattle Mariners. It's a major sports city. I like the dynamic that it happens to. You'll have a natural rivalry between Vancouver and Seattle. They're right next to each other. I think rivalry creates more interest for the league. We know that the league wants to expand. The Vegas expansion went super well. The fact that they're competitive leads me to believe that the NHL will be on board with this. We know they've been wanting to put some more teams out west, some more teams that will make the other Western teams not have to travel as much. So I think we're going to see a Seattle franchise for sure. It makes sense as the next place to go. I think it's a little bit better than Houston. I think it's far better than Quebec, although I know that Quebec would be tremendous and all the Canadians are going to like Quebec. I don't think the NHL is thinking about Quebec. Ottawa's an issue for them right now, filling that building, like I said earlier in the show. And I think that you got to admit that Seattle's the best thing, and they'll have a new arena there, and it'll be top notch, and all the rest. And with the league looking to expand, I see that as a no-brainer, and I don't think any dweeby council member is going to get in the way of that, no matter how much he dweebs out or his fellow council members fidget with their fingers. They're not going to really care all that much. All right, interesting first live show. Again, just to recap, for those of you who are just really jumping in on the process, We had this idea for this show in the summertime. Took us a little while to build out all the stuff that we needed here. And this is just a little fun side project for me. And the response has been pretty good so far. Definitely on social media, on Facebook for sure. YouTube's growing slowly but growing. Instagram is growing. You can get all our information at hockeytalkshow.com. We'll try and come back with a live show. Thanks to our colorful callers for tonight for chiming in on all that. And we'll see you guys on the next shift. It was a real pleasure.